Welcome to the first virtual Congress, Auricoin Money. For today, it had been planned to hold this International Congress of Auricoin Money in person, and the organizers of this great event had selected Panama City to do it. This city was chosen for several reasons, and one of them is the strategic location, since this country unites, as everyone knows, South America with Central America. Everyone must imagine the reason why it was impossible to carry out this international event in the indicated city, but it had to be done because today Auricoin celebrates 2 years of having been created. Yesterday, November 22nd of the current year, the period of time given to the Auricoin Money project to evaluate if the Auricoin Money was accepted by the community was continued, and if not, unfortunately it was abandoned. I am pleased to inform the entire Auricoin community that the Auricoin Money project passed the test and will continue to develop. And all thanks to you who decided to adopt this monetary cone, which we all know is without a doubt a fundamental pillar to achieve our economic and social development. We are gathered here today for one reason only. First, inform the philosophy that is planned to work. Second, economic projection that is achieved in the next 15 years using Auricoin money. Third, the measures that are adopted globally to promote Auricoin money and take it to another level. And fourth, a report of the work carried out in 2020. Philosophy that is planned to work. We needed to create policies consistent with the 21st century global economy, and that means thinking more creatively, more jointly, and more collaboratively than in the past. Why? Because our planet faces a challenge: economic instability, damage to world production, lack of equity, and the pandemic that is hitting of all humanity. These challenges feed and amplify each other, hence they cannot be considered in isolation. Therefore, we have to address them together. How? There are 4 priorities. A. Establish firm economic fundamentals. B. Set fair prices for the economy. C. Achieve equity. And D. Work on expanding Auricoin money globally. We know that without a firm foundation, the race is lost from the start. The starting point of sustainable development is macroeconomic stability. We are facing the most catastrophic economic crisis the world has ever faced, and exactly 12 years ago, the collapse of Lehman Brothers put the world economy in a downward spiral, unprecedented in the last half-century. We are slowly but surely advancing on the path of conquering the economy, but we have not reached the final destination. To conclude the tour, it is necessary to adopt measures on all fronts. To the primary productive manufacturing, industrial, and commercial sectors, we must make them understand that it is necessary for them to receive Auricoin money as a means of payment. Community members, we must educate them to use Auricoin money to buy, sell, and pay their debts. These would serve a purpose that will benefit everyone equally, as it is on track for global economic recovery, reforming the financial sector and breaking down obstacles to further foster growth and job creation, especially for young people. Now is the time to strengthen ties of collaboration between the community of all countries. Auricoin is committed to this task. In addition, together with the community that is now in several countries, we are working to bring this monetary cone to the most remote places in each country. There is no doubt that we must continue to promote productive development, but on an even better path than in the past. We know that poorly incentivized economic growth can be harmful to production, and that productive degradation is harmful to the economy. Make no mistake, the poorest countries are those that will be affected first by this crisis and most strongly. Statistics show that 30% of the land now used for maize cultivation in sub-Saharan Africa will be unsuitable for this crop by 2030s, with drastic consequences for the economy, food security, and the lives of the people there. So, we have to reach those remote places to distribute the Auricoin money and thus diversify the economy in those countries, since the damage they are causing is reflected in the prices they pay for growing corn. A palpable example is the subsidies granted by governments, including those of a tax nature, which consumed almost $2 trillion American dollars in 2020, equivalent to a gigantic 2.5% of world GDP, granted by governments to new energy producers, which they use as raw material corn. These resources could have been used for more appropriate purposes. Auricoin is not an environmental organization, but this is a field in which we can help. How? An example is trying to unravel the complicated skein of eliminating deception, which humanity has suffered over time, by forcing them to use these monetary cones, which the only thing they achieve is the backwardness of economic and social development. Going back and using those money cones again is absurd, which would show that society is in decline. Now, without any delay, due to the global economic crisis facing the population, it is urgent and necessary to expand the Auricoin money to all humanity in the shortest time possible. Achieving this area only, that of the expansion of Auricoin money, would already be very good for the development, progress, well-being of all people, for the economy, and for the planet. Auricoin has not only focused its interest on the growth of production that is transformed into economic growth, we have also focused on achieving the distribution of money to all people. To achieve not only economic growth, social development is equally important. We are now much more aware, thanks in part to studies by the creators, that a balanced distribution of Auricoin money will facilitate more sustained growth and greater economic stability. There is definitely no doubt that Auricoin money is the key for a greater inclusion of people in economic life, so that everyone can enjoy prosperity and develop their potential. As an urgent matter, we have to redouble our efforts to eliminate the scourge of extreme poverty from our environment. I fully support the goal of ending extreme poverty worldwide by 2035. With the Auricoin money, we will also achieve greater gender equity in the classrooms, in the workforce, and in the executive spheres. Too often, the development of women has been hampered by outdated barriers and attitudes, and society in general has been degraded as a result. By not taking into account the contribution of women, we reduce per capita income up to 27% in some regions and worsen the quality of life. Auricoin money is inclusive, never exclusive, since it is distributed regardless of races, genders, creeds, or social strata. For this reason, our motto is, everyone has access to Auricoin money. I am going to present you a work done by economics professionals where they explain in a simple way what would be the achievements in the economy for the next 15 years if we use Auricoin money. Economic projection using Auricoin money. The first function of Auricoin money is to provide the world goods and services with the expression of their values, or to represent the values as quantities of the same denomination, qualitatively equal and quantitatively comparable. This is the function of money, which is useful as a general measure of values, and only by virtue of this function does Auricoin money have a referential value of $888.88 USD. The specific equivalent goods and services comes first of the money. Goods or services are not made commensurable by money. The other way, because they are all goods and services as values derived from objectified human labor and therefore commensurate in and for themselves. They can collectively measure their values in the same specific goods or services, and these become their collective measure of value. This is in the money. As a measure of value, Auricoin money is the necessary form of manifestation of the measure of the immanent value of goods and services, labor time. Or why not? You can treat private work as if it were directly social work as its opposite. With Auricoin money, as it is conceived, an economic and social development is presented. It will be a worldwide phenomenon. The population of the Third World will grow at a spectacular rate. The numbers of inhabitants of Africa, the Far East, and South Asia will double in the next 20 years, and the number of inhabitants of Latin America will increase even faster. There will be no famine, except because of war and political follies, which will never be absent. As the population multiplies, life expectancy is extended by an average of 8 years by the end of the 2030s. This means that food production will grow faster than population, and it will happen both in underdeveloped areas and in all major regions of the industrialized world. Total food production in poor countries will grow faster than in developed countries. A single well-located building can make a person a millionaire at practically no cost, since they can request a loan with the guarantee of future construction and expand that credit as the building built or to be built, full or empty, it develops. Airports will increase transportation par excellence. The impact of human activities on nature, especially urban and industrial, but also agricultural, will suffer a pronounced increase from mid-2025, largely due to increased production of a wide variety of products. One of the most important reasons for development will be focused on a wide variety of energies, which will lower the price of a barrel of Saudi crude, thus making energy for the next decade cheaper, and will continue to get cheaper constantly as that new sources of energy are created. The guardians of the environment will take note of the effect of the enormous increase in traffic of vehicles not powered by gasoline, but by electric motors. With the Auricoin money, a new era will be for the electric car. New forms of production will be created, which will be a resounding success. And services hitherto restricted to minorities will now be thought for a mass market. It will also happen with mass tourism by sunny beaches. What once would have been a luxury will become a common well-being, at least in poor countries. Refrigerators, washing machines, air conditioners, and a variety of items will be available to them. In short, now with Auricoin money, the average citizen of those countries will be able to live as only the very rich have lived, with the natural difference that robotics will have replaced servants. The technological revolution which will be achieved with the Auricoin money will not only contribute to the multiplication of products from before improved, but also to that of unknown products, including many that practically no one even imagined before the year 2020. A high demand for high technology is looming. A series of revolutionary processes are being prepared that will be adapted to civil use. Thousands of varied ideas and techniques are being prepared for the field of medicine and information technology. The Auricoin money age will rest on the most advanced and often absurd scientific research, which will now find practical application within a few years. Industry and even agriculture will decisively outperform 20th century technology for the first time. Things of this technological earthquake that is coming. First, daily life will be completely transformed in rich countries, to a lesser extent in poor ones, where technology and the media will now reach the most remote villages thanks to the distribution of Auricoin money, where the green revolution will transform the cultivation of rice and wheat, and shoes will replace bare feet. Most of the contents of the fridge or freezer, neither of which would have appeared in most households in 2020, will be new freeze-dried food, poultry farm products, meat with high-quality boneless cuts, not to mention of fresh products imported from the other side of the world by air. Something that would have been impossible before will reach the tables of those who were previously the most deprived. When the use of Auricoin money penetrates the consciousness of the producer, industrialist, merchant, and consumer to such an extent that the novelty becomes the main attraction when it comes to selling everything, accepting Auricoin money as a means of payment. The premise will be that the new will not only mean something better, but also revolutionary. As for products that represented visible technological developments, the list will be endless and does not require comments, with solar energy and then the other components of electronic equipment, photographic, home video, and smartphones. Second, the more complex the technology in question, the more complicated the path from discovery or invention to production will become, and the more complex and expensive the process of creation. Research and development will be crucial for economic growth and for developed market economies. Now, innovators who won't be able to protect themselves so easily will have to seize the opportunity faster, because as soon as other products enter the market, yours will become history. The main characteristic of the Auricoin money age, it needs large content investments that in return it needs people as consumers. The idea that this new era of money Auricoin aspires to is the production and even the service for the benefit of the human being. Automatic robots that will build everything, empty and silent spaces full of computer terminals controlling the production of energy, trains and cars without driver. All the problems that money had afflicted by creating financial catastrophes will dissolve and disappear. The most evident thing is that the great leap will not be only these, but there will be a restructuring and a substantial reform of the way of life and a spectacular advance in the globalization of the economy. The age of money Auricoin. Democratize the market. The second multiplying factor will be the productive capacity of the world economy by enabling a much more complex international division of labor. At first, this will be dedicated to the so-called developed market economies, that is, the countries on the side called first world countries. Third world countries will have a more dynamic development. They will opt for a separate and planned industrialization, replacing with their own production the import of manufactured articles. The restoration of the franchises in each country and the advancement of the internationalization of the Auricoin currency will be fundamental. The impact of the civil industry of the technology produced thanks to high-level scientific research will surely be decisive until the crisis decades prior to this one in 2020, when the great advances in information and genetic engineering will take place, as well as a whole series of jumps into the unknown. High technology and its innovations will soon become part of the economic expansion. Auricoin will finance a doubling of industrial production, which will be the period of maximum growth ever achieved in world economic history. The world economy will develop around Auricoin money, achieving an economy that posed fewer obstacles to international movements, with one exception: international migratory movements will disappear. The great economic expansion of the Auricoin money age will be fueled not only by the previously unemployed labor force, but also by large young flows that will be integrated into the production of goods and services. This process goes hand in hand with the growing internationalization of the Auricoin currency. So, for example, between 2024 and 2028, the percentage of world production dedicated to export will double. With Auricoin money in the mid-2025 and 2030, industrialized countries will sell to each other about 3/5 of their export of manufactured products, and by early 2035, 3/4. Developed countries will begin to export a somewhat larger proportion of their processed products to the rest of the world. The Third World will begin to export manufactures on a considerable scale to developed and industrialized countries. Between 2025 and 2030, the share of exports of industrial products corresponding to the Third World, which until then had remained low, will more than double. Thus, a new international division of labor will begin to undermine the old. This will be the beginning of the era of innovation, decisive of the Auricoin money, although it does not fully fit until later. Medium-sized industries will begin to globalize from the 2025s onwards. The medium-sized industry production chain will no longer be stagnant in one place, but will be installed throughout the world. The Auricoin money generates a paradoxical change in the political structure of the world economy. There is a compelling reason why the expansion of the currency and is the peculiar combination of economic growth in an economic based on activity social growth, fully employed and increasingly better paid and protected. All these can be achieved by changing our minds and beginning to see reality, as Francisco d'Anconia put it in his famous speech on money, in which he expressed, "Money is an instrument of exchange, which cannot exist unless there are goods produced and men capable of producing them. Money is the material form of the principle that men who wish to deal with each other must do so by exchange and by giving value for value. Money is not the instrument of beggars who cry out for your product, nor is it the instrument of looters who take it from you by force. Only men who produce make money possible. We can get out of economic hell by using this fair and neutral monetary coin called Auricoin, or we can just sit around doing nothing. Now the decision is in your hands. The money is already created and everyone can use it. Using it is everyone's commitment." Auricoin Digital Banking Model. For the coming year 2021, Auricoin begins a new stage, and it's none other than expansion through franchises for the installation of digital banks around the world. Our goal is to grant as many franchises as necessary so that through these, digital banking is made available, and we can bring Auricoin money to all the most remote places on our planet. It has already started in several countries of the American continent, and the results are very encouraging, just as Auricoin has shown a differential behavior since 2018 thanks to its model of doing things. Despite the complexity of the environment in some markets during 2020, especially due to the effects of the pandemic, Auricoin will continue for the coming year to have a differential behavior regarding the installation of digital banking, thanks to its model of making the things. This new era of Auricoin will rest on 4 pillars with very clear mandates. Auricoin, a banking model leveraged on 4 pillars. First, diversified portfolio model with leading franchises. Continue building a balanced portfolio with future growth. Second, customer-oriented business model, being the first digital money and the one preferred by the customer. Third, prudent and transversal management model, promote best practices and synergies, maximizing the value of the group. And fourth, profitability model adjusted to principles, reinforce the commitment with all the societies in which Auricoin operates. Portfolio model. Auricoin will be a balanced and diversified portfolio model supported by solid banks. Diversification is a key piece to achieving resilience in any environment. A very balanced mix in terms of geographies, businesses, and segments will characterize the Auricoin model. These will allow you to continue to maintain a high level of customer revenue recurrence, despite environmental conditions and economic cycles. In this sense, during this financial year 2020, 64.5% of the gross customer captured has been generated by the loans granted to all those who have requested them, has originated in emergency countries. Auricoin Group, composition of gross margin by geography, percentage. Netherlands, 3.40%, Canada 3.70%, Germany 3.30%, USA 5.10%, Switzerland 4.20%, Spain 13.50%, England 2.30%, 35.50% of the Auricoin money was placed in developed countries. The presence of Auricoin money in emerging countries is today at 64.50%. Having the following distribution percentages in Colombia with 14.15%, Mexico 8.64%, Panama 6%, Chile 1.23%, Venezuela 12.58%, Ecuador 1.70%, Argentina 3.18%, Uruguay 2.20%, Costa Rica 1.80%, Paraguay 3.40%, Bolivia 1.10%, Brazil 4%, Nicaragua 1.67%, and Peru 2.85%. Auricoin is planning to build solid banks with a sufficient critical mass of clientele, leading positions in all markets of Colombia, Argentina, Nicaragua, Mexico, Uruguay, Peru, Panama, Costa Rica, Chile, Paraguay, Bolivia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Spain, Brazil, and carries out important participations and strategic alliances in Switzerland, the Netherlands, Germany, the USA, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Auricoin will actively manage its business portfolio with the aim of generating maximum value for the franchisee. We will be continuously analyzing the market to detect attractive and profitable investment opportunities within its active portfolio management policy that seeks to generate maximum value for the franchisee, who will be the ones who will be in charge of the virtual banks in each country, initiating this work the coming 2021. Business model. Focusing on the client ensures recurrence in results and stability in financing. The business model created by Auricoin for online banking is customer focused not only in the retail world but also in the wholesaler. That is, it will be based on stable and lasting relationships with customers around the world. This ensures a high level of recurrence in the results and a very stable financing. In addition, Auricoin thus achieves a highly capillarity distribution network that at the same time will lead in efficiency. In this sense, in 2021, Auricoin's business share will be higher than the network share in its main banks. To achieve good levels of efficiency, Auricoin will bet on technology and innovation. Within its technological plan, Auricoin will invest mainly in 4 axes: improve customer experience, increase business productivity, It will promote operational efficiency and it will reduce the risk. Auricoin wants to achieve a business model that focused on the client is more innovative, more efficient, and of higher quality. To do this, it will launch very important investment plans, such as those that we will allow ourselves to announce for Central America and South America, which will be focused on growth, technological development, and the improvement and expansion of distribution networks. In this sense, among the numerous initiatives for the year 2021 are online banking on various countries in Central America, South America, and Europe. Auricoin is going to evolve towards an increasingly digital organization because it wants to lead the banking of the future. In this regard, it has set three very ambitious goals. Become the most recommended cryptocurrency bank by customers, double its web customers base, and quintupling the online customer base. In customer satisfaction, it will be number one. Web clients will be increased by 2 for every minute. Online customers are improved by 5 for every minute. Management model. A prudent and transversal management model. Auricoin created a management model for banking based on prudence, anticipation, and globality. Prudence is materialized fundamentally in the management of structural risks, in the management of capital, and in the management of corporate operations. Anticipation is also crucial when it comes to the need to stay ahead of events, along with the flexibility to adapt nimbly to them. This ability to anticipate will be a determining factor in Auricoin's performance, which will be key in an increasingly global and complex future. Finally, globality, under which the concept of transversality underlies, consists of exploiting the full potential of Auricoin businesses, customers, and footprint. A more global and transversal organization. Sharing tools, methodologies, and products. Transforming and driving growth, and managing synergies and best practices and increasing the value of common franchises. Since mid-2020, Auricoin is preparing to promote the transversal management of businesses to generate important synergies hand in hand with the wholesale business of Auricoin, corporate and investment banking, CIB, with a customer-centric model, diversified, efficient, low risk, and with a strategy that will allow Auricoin to offer a differential service to customers, which translates into a model of global and specialized coverage, a value offer for all customer segments, a comprehensive catalog of products and services with high added value and high level performance. The retail businesses that are carried out through our executives, responsible for identifying best practices and extending them from one geography to another. It also aims to promote the adoption and development of global business lines, corporate credits aimed at large corporations. In addition, they will be in charge of designing the omni-channel strategy, developing global initiatives, and promoting innovation beyond the borders of conventionalism. Profitability model adjusted to principles. Auricoin Virtual Banks will stand out for having a profitability model adjusted to the principles of integrity, prudence, and transparency. The current environment undoubtedly represents a challenge for the crypto financial sector. The financial activity has suffered a loss of social legitimacy, of global scope, with a permanent character and linked to a growing demand for responsibilities. In addition, the pressure on the regulation of the sector, especially in terms of customer protection, is increasing. In this context, Auricoin believes in a differential way of doing things. At Auricoin, we are aware that there are many things to improve, but it's clear that being profitable does not mean doing business in any way. That is why we speak of profitability adjusted to principles. Auricoin is convinced that putting the principles in the first place of the management of good corporate governance for digital banking is per se a source of competitive advantage. The principles are key to maintaining the trust and value of the bank, which ensures sustainability in the long term. It is important to meet the objectives that we have set for the coming year. However, it is even more so to do it while respecting the white paper, rules and regulations, being faithful to very solid principles and which put people at the center of the business. For Auricoin, the fundamental asset in the business is the trust of its customers, community, employees, and society in general. Auricoin has a very clear vision to work for a better future for all people. This has been the great motivation that has driven Auricoin to work on a responsible business strategy approved in 2018 and that was born with a challenge to differentiate ourselves and regain the trust of society. The Responsible Business Plan establishes three strategic priorities: transparent, clear, and responsible communication, TCR communication. The crisis has undermined trust in cryptocurrencies. Claims for poor information have risen, and transparency has tightened. Customers perceive the language is too technical and difficult to understand. It is not enough to tell everything, you have to tell it clearly. Communicating in a transparent, clear, and responsible language helps the client to make an informed decision and is a key lever to regain and maintain their trust. For this reason, Auricoin is developing a policy and working on numerous initiatives to make the Auricoin client relationship more TCR before, during, and after hiring. Education. Education is the strategic priority of the social programs of the virtual banks of Auricoin. Within this line, there are three axes. Financial education, which, along with TCR communication, is the other piece that contributes to the community making informed decisions. Training for SMEs, which play an important role in the development of the economic business fabric of the world. Education for social integration and training in values of children and young people. Products with high social impact. With daily activity, a great social impact is already generated. There are many people who live finance with credits from Auricoin, or companies that generate growth and employment with the help of Auricoin financing. Therefore, Auricoin has a great opportunity to design products and services with a superior social impact, keeping in mind the needs of customers and the context in which they live. Responsible business plan, banking for individuals, clients, education and science in society. Committed to our employees. Definitely in Auricoin, we work for a better future for people. At the end of 2020, around 150,000 million Auricoin have been granted for the world productive sector. All economic sectors have benefited from the system created by Auricoin for the equitable distribution of money. Auricoin has issued more than 87 Good Pro franchises to open its financial services as of 2021. 100% of wages and salaries are paid with Auricoin money, thus achieving the integration of our employees to be an active part of our community. I also allow myself to inform you that for the coming year 2021, they will be rendering services to you, the International Central Bank, Auricoin. Banco Auricoin of the Republic of Panama, Banco Auricoin of the Dominican Republic, and the Auricoin Bank of the Kingdom of Spain. Before concluding, I am pleased to inform the community that following the route of the Auricoin project, the Auricoin private blockchain was created, which will be used for the issuance of letters of credit, keeping the general life of users and credit history by InfoCredit. To recap, these 4 challenges before us require a stronger, more united commitment and a deeper collaboration on the part of the entire Auricoin community. Since it is you who activate the medium of change, therefore it is you, the people, that give life to Auricoin money. Let's take advantage of this Congress to start acting without delay. Thank you.